Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to GCPA Live. It is Tuesday night, and we have a cast reunion from James and the Giant Peach Jr. Real happy to have everybody here tonight. We've got a great group of our actors from this production, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about what it was like to put that fantasy world on stage. So let's go ahead and jump in and find out who is here with us to talk about the show tonight. So first we have Evelyn. Hi there, Evelyn.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for asking. Evelyn, what role did you play in James and the Giant Peach?
I was a featured dancer.
All right, featured dancer, which meant that you had an ensemble track with some feature in there. So we're gonna talk to you a little bit about what it was like to have that track during the show. So thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight.
Of course.
Next up, we have Ellie, the first of two Ellies that are with us tonight. Ellie P.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for asking. So Ellie, remind everybody what role it was that you played in Peach.
I was Sponge.
Sponge, part of the villainous duo of Spiker and Sponge.
Yep.
So we're going to get an opportunity to talk to you about what it was like to play those comedic villains in this story tonight. So thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Next up, we have Ben.
Hey.
Ben, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So Ben, remind everybody what role it was that you played in James and the Giant Peach.
I played the Grasshopper.
The Grasshopper. Yes, Grasshopper. You have taught us well, right?
Yeah.
Although this Grasshopper did a little less martial arts and a little more guiding James along his journey, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So Ben, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We're going to get to talk a little bit about what it was like for the puppetry in that production. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and meet another one of your fellow actors who had a little bit of puppetry as a part of her performance. Ellie B.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, my mic was muted.
All right. How you doing tonight, Ellie?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking. So remind everybody what role it was that you played in James.
So I played Miss Spider.
You played Spider. So you had a little bit of puppetry in there as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
So it's exciting to learn a new skill as a show. And we're going to get to talk about that, like I mentioned before, in just a few more minutes. So thanks so much for spending time with us tonight.
Of course.
Next up, we have another character who got to be a puppeteer. So Lauren is here.
Hi.
Hi, Lauren. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. So remind everybody what role it was that you played in James and the Giant Peach.
I played Ladybug.
Ladybug. And so part of your costume was that you had a coat jacket with tails, right?
Yes, and some arms, extra arms.
And extra arms. Being a ladybug, that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Well, Lauren, thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight. We're going to get to hear some stories from you about putting this show together.
Thank you.
Of course. Next up, we have Sophie.
Hi.
Hey, Sophie, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, great. Thank you so much for asking. So, Sophie, remind everybody what role it was that you played.
I played Ladahlord.
So Ladahlord, those who are not familiar or maybe don't remember, Ladahlord was essentially the narrator of the story, and we're going to get your perspective in a little bit here about what it was like to play a character that narrates the story as we go along. So thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight. And last but certainly not least, we have James himself. Elliott, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So you played James.
Yeah.
Tell us just real briefly what did it feel like when you got that call and said, you know, you get to play the title character
Oh, it was awesome. I was really psyched since that was the first time I was really in GCPA. So I was stoked, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a fun character to play in a really exhilarating story to tell. So we're gonna hear some more stories from you here in just a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're going to start off with a question that everybody's going to have an opportunity to answer here, and it's really faced around the type of story that James and the Giant Peach is. So Stephanie, if you would, let's go ahead and bring out as many of our guests here as we can tonight. And everybody, James and the Giant Peach, it's a story that's driven by fantasy. Where the rules of reality are rewritten. So what was it like bringing this fantasy world to life? Ellie Backley, so let's go ahead and start with you. And you're muted right now, so we...
There we go. Sorry. So to put on the show, it was a really good experience because I'd never really done a show before where I played anything besides a human. So it was fun to really get to like explore the different parts of being different characters and be able to explore the different ways of acting, especially if you're going to do acting in the future, going to have to be able to do a bunch of different types of acting. And it was just really fun storyline, and I had fun being able to travel into a different like world where it was different and there wasn't like things that you would see in the normal world, and you had to use a lot of creativity, and it was really fun, and it was a really fun change. So.
Yeah, all right. Getting to explore something new is always
Yeah.
fun, right? Yeah. How about you, Evelyn? What was it like bringing this fantasy world to life?
It was so much fun. The show was so much fun. There was a lot of like all the costumes and everything were so much fun, and there was a lot of opportunities to like exaggerate the movements and kind of make them like however you wanted. A lot of like character opportunities, which was really fun because it wasn't just like normal like basic dancing and basic acting and facial expressions. You could really kind of take an idea and go with it and be as big as you wanted to because it was like this crazy world. It was really fun.
All right, yeah. So you're bringing up a point in regards to the fact that we get to be immersed in this alternate reality that has been created where there are really no holds barred in regards to what the physicality and the storytelling can look like, right? As long as we follow those given circumstances that were given to us. Thanks, Evelyn. Ben, how about yourself? What was it like bringing this fantasy world to life?
I thought it was really interesting and fun and new. I've never done anything like this before. I've only ever been like the side character of a human, nothing like a bug, which was really cool. And to be able to be in a different world than we know was really interesting and fun. And it explored a lot of new ideas I never thought could be in acting. So that's cool.
Yeah. All right, excellent. Thanks, Ben. Lauren, how about your perspective?
This was a really interesting show because, like Ellie said, it's kind of strange not to portray a human, so you kind of had to play with how a bug would act because obviously it's going to be a lot of different like body like movements and characteristics with what you do. And also we had a Giant Peach jungle gym, so that kind of threw us in a loop because for a certain part when we were like rolling down the hill, we had this very small space to portray literally rolling down a hill in a massive peach. So I think that was a little difficult for us at first, but we got the hang of it, and it's kind of scary being up there. But then you get used to it. So.
Yeah, and there is, and I believe that is the actual scene where we were getting ready to roll down that hill, right?
Yes, that is.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Lauren. Elliott, how about yourself?
This was this play, like everybody's been saying, it's not like any other since it requires a lot of imagination and no two characters are alike, like not even similar, say the least. And it just required imagination from the actors too, since like so many people created backstories since they give us so much freedom in the play to really create like characters and just to be who you want to be.
Yeah, and so Elliott, what you bring up is understanding what what is given to us in the context of the story, and then putting those pieces of the puzzle together in order to understand why is our character, whether it's a grasshopper or a ladybug or a human in your case, one of the few humans in the story, right? And really put that puzzle pieces together in order to create that entire picture of who this character is, not only in the story, but what has influenced them to get to where they are in that story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sophie, how about yourself?
This was like really fun because all the characters were so exaggerated and out of the box, and they were so different. So it was like really fun to like exaggerate everything and have big movements and all that stuff. Yeah.
So you got to play, like you said, out of the box and create and understand more of what our body is able to do when we're not necessarily playing a human in the normal instance of many of the stories that we share. Yeah, thanks, Sophie. And Ellie, how about you? What was it like bringing this fantasy world to life?
I thought it was really fun to like use like accents and to be able to like walk like differently, and just like be able to like have like a different connection with like Alex, and like just it was just fun to like tell the story.
Yeah, and so Ellie, you bring up a point about, you know, having different walks and understanding, again, kind of what Elliott was talking about in regards to that backstory and all of the given circumstances. How does that affect how our character walks? And you had a little bit of padding on.
I did, yeah.
Sponge was a little heftier in regards to the given circumstances, and so you are very much not Sponge in that regard, and so you had to learn what did that physicality mean and look like for you, right?
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of fun was had clearly in bringing this fantasy world to life, and Evelyn, you were a featured dancer in the story. You had an ensemble track here. And the ensemble in the story has a pretty hefty track.
Yes.
So what is it that you did to stay focused in each moment of the story as you hopped from role to role that was a part of your track?
Yeah, so I played a lot of different characters in this show. It was a lot of like, I'd be a character for one scene, and then the next scene right after I'd be on and I'd have to completely change and be playing a completely different person. And they were all so different. Like I played a seagull, a dancer, like there was a lot of different things happening. So I had to like do something different for each one. So I really had to memorize the lineup of the show. That was really important. Like when all the scenes happened, when all the songs happened, I think that was really, really, really important, because then I had to think about, okay, what character am I playing in this scene? What is happening in the scene? How would my character react? Because I'm playing somebody totally different than I was 5 minutes ago. So it was difficult at first, I'm not going to lie, with all the changes and everything. It was hard to kind of keep track. But during Tech Week, I got the hang of it. And once I had everything down and kind of had like a plan in my mind and like a schedule I would follow every time to remember, it got a lot easier, and it was just so fun.
Yeah, so Evelyn, something that you bring up is something that not a lot of audience members think about, in that if you're playing a role like James or Ladahlord or Ladybug or what have you, you've got a continuous arc in regards to the story that you're telling from beginning to end. But in the case of the ensemble in Peach and the track that you had, you have to piece together multiple arcs of different characters that are in different scenes, and having to thread that through for yourself.
Yeah, it was really fun, because the ensemble is, like you said, there's a lot of ensemble parts in this show, and almost like every number there's an ensemble part, or every song at least. So yeah, it was fun. I really liked it.
And you gave a fantastic performance, of course, with all of the rest of the ensemble. And what that demonstrates, and what you're talking about right here, is the importance of recognizing that every person that's on that stage has a vital role to play in storytelling.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Evelyn.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and bring Ellie P back out. You played Sponge.
Yes.
So as we mentioned when we introduced you here at the beginning, you were part of the Spiker and Sponge duo, and of course you're the villains of the story. But the way that they're written more like a Laurel and Hardy type comedic team. So what is it that you enjoyed most about their relationship and this storytelling style for your character in this duo?
I like most I just liked how they like worked together and but like they would still argue and like fight, but they still had like a sister connection. Like you could tell they still like loved each other, but they would still like fight and argue, just like kind of how regular siblings do. But,
right, and you had absolutely no real world experience to pull from that, right?
Right, never. Love that.
So when you think about that Laurel and Hardy, and you are young, so you may not even recognize the full impact of what Laurel and Hardy really means. But when you think about comedic duos that you relate to here in 2020, what did you see that was going on in addition to just that familial relationships with their siblings, but the comedy styles that arguing and then that care came about? What were some things that you really related to with the comedy of it?
I just kind of like took things that I saw off of like SNL and stuff. Yeah, I just kind of like thought about just how like other siblings, like how actual siblings like talk and like do things. Like I just kind of like based some things off of like that, and just like things that I've also seen on like TV and other shows that I've seen. So.
Yeah, and the reason I ask you that, Ellie, is because there's so much to learn from the shows that we watch, the television sitcoms, dramas, SNL, which is sketch comedy. While of course it's entertaining, there's always something we can learn as performers in regards to being able to pull. You want to talk about this moment?
Yeah, let's not. I mean, let's will. You know what I mean? Okay. I just remember like laughing and then spitting the whipped cream everywhere. That's one of the highlights of rehearsals of that. That took a lot of shit out of my mouth. So.
And that's.
It was fun. Nothing wrong.
And that's one of those things, particularly as a comedic actor, when we're dealing with food on stage, that a spit take is something that is as old as time itself almost. Spit takes were really big in vaudeville. They've been written into many musicals and plays and television shows and movies since then. It's kind of a mainstay of comedic storytelling, and but even that is something that has some technique to it, and there's timing that you have to play with and figure out and learn, and again that's something that you mentioned, like learning from SNL and learning from some other television shows that you watch in regards to what does that timing mean. How does that feel? What does that look like? And because you're able to observe that and understand that, that's where you were able then to really execute on that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Ellie, thank you so much for sharing that story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we're not done with you yet. There's some more coming for you. But before we ask more questions of Ellie, let's go ahead and bring out Lauren, Ellie B, and Ben. So all three of you played characters that were puppets first. on stage. So you got to learn some puppetry as a part of this. So what were some of the most fun parts and most challenging parts of that puppetry for the show? And Ellie, let's go ahead and start with you.
So working with a puppet was obviously something different and something I'd never done before. Besides obviously maybe just like as a kid, but actually having to portray it as a character and as a role was definitely a big change for me. So when we had the puppet people come in and actually show us how to use the puppets, it was actually a really fun learning experience, and it taught me a lot more about how to use it. One of the most difficult parts was probably remembering to move the mouth and the legs in the same time, and what goes where, and remember that I'm not talking, that I'm making something else talk. So making the facial expressions on the puppet instead of me and trying to cover my face too. That was probably one of the most challenging things. But overall, it was just a really fun experience to learn something new and try different things. It was really fun.
Yeah, very cool. And by the way, nice catch on your earbud there as it fell out. Well done.
We're good.
So Lauren, how about yourself? What were some of your most fun and most challenging parts of working with the puppets?
Well, I think personally I got lucky with my puppet because it was still intricate, but I had two main things to move. I had the head and I had the arms and a little like handle in it. So I remember the day we got puppets, they came out of the box and it was like, yay, puppets, woo. They were so cute and I loved them so much. But then like I have a problem where my hands sometimes like sweat really bad, and I know it's gross, but I would be holding the handle and it would just be like sweat, and I was trying to like adjust my grip, but then it would not work. Or then when you move like the arms, you have to use these two fingers, so it gets cramped. So it took like adjusting, but then when you get it and then you move the head and the arms at the same time and it looks real, you feel super proud of yourself, and it's just like a big accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you mention, you know, when everything clicks and you figure out that first time when it happens, it's super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yes.
and then you get excited about, all right, I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, especially with puppets.
Yeah. And I feel you on the sweaty hand thing.
Yeah.
So Ben, how about yourself?
Yeah, I had a really fun puppet. I really liked them. And my favorite part about it was being able to hop with the grasshopper, because they do. It's really hard to do though. And the legs sometimes do not cooperate and they bend the wrong way. And yeah, and that could be very embarrassing, but it was really fun, and getting to see them for the first time and having that feeling was really cool and really fun.
Yeah, and so GCPA's done a couple of shows that's involved puppets. One was Avenue Q School Edition, and one was James and the Giant Peach, and they're very different types of puppets that were used. And so Ben, you mentioned that sometimes the legs wouldn't bend the way that we wanted them to bend, right? And so that's one of those nuances that you have to figure out in regards to the different puppets that we're working with. And the Grasshopper and the Spider and the Ladybug, each one of them had different nuances that each one of you had to adjust to. And in the end, you all did a fantastic job of learning how to manipulate those puppets and bring those puppets to life. Because there's one thing about puppets that they're really easy to be dead on stage, but they're really hard to live on stage, right? Because because they're an inanimate object, right? We have to bring them to life. But when you figure that out, Lauren, like you said, there's not only a sense of accomplishment, but you get excited about doing it over and over and over again, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing those stories about the puppets.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
So let's go ahead and bring out Sophie and Elliott. So Sophie, you played Ladalord, who's the narrator of James and the Giant Peach, and clearly Elliott James is the title character. So what were some of the things that you did during the process that helped portray the nuances of your characters?
For me, Ladahlord was like very mysterious. So one of the things that I did was I got like really low to the ground and kind of like sunk down into it. Like I was never just straight up. I was always like bent. And I also like use my hands a lot because I feel like he's very exaggerated and out of the box. And another thing that I did, which was a little weird at first, was I made eye contact with the audience at some point. And that was like really weird at first because it was like, wait, aren't you like never supposed to look at the audience? But I think it actually worked very well and it like fit exactly with his character. And it was fun to like creep the audience out a little.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not often that as actors we get an opportunity that our characters actually break that fourth wall and interact with the audience. And so when you get that opportunity, the first time it can kind of be a little scary. Holy cow, what am I doing? But then, like you said, you started to have a little bit of fun with it, and some of the audience kind of got freaked out a little bit because you're so mysterious in the character that Ladylord is. So Elliott, how about you? So what were some of the things that you did to bring out the nuances of James?
Yeah, so for me, it was more just like looking through the script and kind of figuring out James's story and really understanding the character. Since the more you understand the character, the more you like get into the character, the more you could see it on stage. So with like understanding the character, those nuances really came out and really just showed throughout the performance. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I remember from your performance of James is that there's so much that happens around him, and he's almost observing more than he's actually doing.
He really is, yeah.
Right, and so one of the things that I noticed about the way that you found that for James's storytelling is that you really were able to zone in on different characters in different moments in order to pull information from them.
Yeah,
you weren't necessarily, you didn't necessarily have lines with them, but you were observing them in a way that then helped inform what James's arc was, what James's storytelling was, and so all of that work that you did to dig into the script and really understand where James was, where he was coming from, kind of how he felt about the world, that all came to your performance as well, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and bring out more of our castmates, because I always like hearing, and those who are watching here, we've found out that this is one of their favorite segments on GCPA Live, is some of the stories from the performance, whether it was during the rehearsal process, during tech week, during a show itself. What are some of your favorite stories that came out of putting this production together? So Evelyn, let's start with you.
I think that, I mean, this isn't really a story, but I just think that something that came out of this was like the cast was just like really, really close. So we would, since we were all so close in age, since this is like a junior show, we were all able to like hang out together. So like during lunch breaks and stuff, it was all of us together in one big group. So we were always like talking, and it was really fun and funny, and there was always something happening. So a lot of funny stories came out of that.
Yeah, that's cool. That camaraderie really goes a long way, and clearly, based on the way that you're interacting with one another here, that those friendships have stuck around since the production. How about you, Lauren?
Well, this isn't necessarily a story, but we kind of had a catchphrase during the show, and it just I just came back to me a while ago. We would always say like "of course" in a British accent, and that was just kind of our thing. If you say something instead of yes, it was of course. So I just thought it was kind of something special that came out of that show.
So do you know how that started?
I think it was one of Elliott's lines. And then one time he like really over exaggerated it. And then it was just really funny. So then we all started doing it.
Yeah, Sophie.
Yeah, I think that was because we couldn't get like the timing right for the beginning because of the song. And so he had to keep saying, of course, and then wait for Stephanie to play. So he had to say it like 5 different times, and he like would be like, of course, and then that's how it came about.
That's it.
So Stephanie in the background, who, you? Yes, you. But that, that's one of the nuances of working with tracks during rehearsal is sometimes that they don't necessarily start when you tell them to. So Sophie, while you've got the floor, what's one of your favorite stories from the production?
Okay, so this is a weird one, but it was like so funny. I don't know why, but we were all like, while we were doing costumes, everyone was in like the small room watching James and the Giant Peach the movie, and I don't know why it was so funny, but no one was watching the movie. Everyone was like talking and like making noise, and there's some people who were trying to watch it and was just like, shh, be quiet, and then the other people would just like not be quiet, and it was just like really fun. It wasn't annoying to me. It was just like really fun because it was kind of like that family like sibling fightness, I guess. So I just remember that as being like so funny for some reason.
Yeah, when you've got some siblings who want to watch and some siblings who want to comment about the movie that they're watching, right? Ellie, how about you? Ellie Backleys, and then we'll go to Ellie Poling.
So a funny story from the show. I have 2. So one of them was whenever we were sitting backstage. I think it was during TED Week, and I had to do a French accent, and I had never done it before, and I was like freaking out about how I was gonna do it. So me and Ellie were sitting backstage. We were just going back and forth trying to figure out how to say all my lines in a French accent, and we could not get it. And it took us like 30 minutes to get one word. So that was one of them. And another one was whenever, like what Sophie was saying when we were watching the movie, and we weren't paying attention to the movie, and we were trying to make ASMR videos backstage with like pencils, and it wasn't turning out too well. But that was one of my favorite memories from the show.
All right, and I can commiserate with you. Accents are not good to me either. I have a very difficult time with accents. Even one of my best accents, which is the Cockney accent, I can do a Cockney accent pretty well, but even then I have to think real hard about what I'm doing. And thankfully I live with Lori, and Lori can help me out with that. But unfortunately, you only had access to Lori during rehearsal time.
Yes.
So Ellie Poling, how about yourself? What are some of your favorite stories?
Like I was saying earlier, I loved the whipped cream moment, and just like when it was like it just happened, and then everybody just started laughing because I just like spit it everywhere because I just started laughing, and then everybody else started laughing. I just remember just like it just being so funny, and it just felt like a family, like laughing together at like a funny like joke.
And when food flies, that's always funny.
It's always funny. When is it not?
Yeah. Elliott, how about yourself? What's one of your favorite stories from the show?
I think it was before a show, and somebody was like, Elliott, your freckles aren't gonna like show up on stage or something like that. So they decided to help my freckles show. So they just got like a little pen, started drawing on my face, and it didn't go too well. So I just ended up with a ton of dots on my face, just randomly placed. It was so weird. But yeah.
I'm so sorry, Elliott.
There's a moment.
So instead of making your freckles appear, it was like your cast was getting you ready for some CG work on a movie.
Yeah, it was interesting. Let's say that.
That was not my best moment, but I tried my hardest.
That's all right. You tried and you had fun trying. So Ben, what's one of your favorite stories?
Probably all the games we played, whether it be improv games or like games we played at lunch, and just really like laughing together and being able to put your own ideas into things, and yeah, games were fun.
Games, having a good time, and that's always always a fun part of that cast bonding, regardless of what cast is we're in. And of course, Lisi's favorite memory is staging the nightmare and Big Cow. So somebody want to tell the Big Cow story for everybody? Does anybody know the Big Cow story?
Well, I think I know a little bit about it. We were asking, it was really like a later time in a rehearsal. I think Stephanie had like 3 coffees. And she asked, I don't remember who, she was asked, what kind of cow do you want? She just said Big Cow. Instead of saying like, what, like, color or anything, she just said Big Cow. It was really funny. And at the time, we were all slap happy, and we were just laughing.
So a moment of just everybody's tired, everybody's had a long rehearsal, it's been a long day, but we're still having fun. And sometimes the best moments come from moments like that. And like you said, Stephanie probably had 3 coffees, was still tired even though she had the caffeine high. And Lisi hollers out, what kind of cow do you want? Big Cow. And yes, she does still have the cow. And I believe doesn't Lisi have a cow as well?
There's 2. There's a big one and a little one.
Yeah.
I think Stephanie got the big cow. I think Lisi got the little one. I think Lauren was running on coffee too, because during practice we always said that Lauren was on a Starbucks high when she was jumping around. She would be crazy because we all had to like hold hands on like when we were tilting, and she would get like super like jiggly and like shake us around. We're like, oh my God, how much coffee have you had today, Lauren? That was one of my favorite moments.
I remember during rehearsal, because there's a Starbucks right next to it, Lauren, you would go to get coffee like every single day, like twice a day.
I was tired.
Oh,
Those early mornings are brutal.
yes.
I still get Starbucks every day.
There you go. So does Stephanie. So gang, this has been a lot of fun getting to talk to you all about this particular story and this particular process. Before we close, want to ask everybody, why is it should people come and take classes and audition for shows at GCPA? And we'll start right here in the middle with Evelyn.
Yeah, classes at GCPA and shows at GCPA are so much fun because the casts are so welcoming and inviting, and the people, everyone is friends in the company. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, you can always have someone to talk to. Everyone really gets along well. It's like a little family. And then all the directors are all so supportive and are always there if you need help, and always offer very nice constructive criticism if you're struggling, which is always really helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Evelyn. Lauren.
My main reason is why not? Because GCPA is awesome. I cannot tell you how much for the people watching I've learned from everyone there, specifically from Paul, because he knows at the beginning I had like not like any acting training, and I think specifically in his acting class, I've learned so much, and it really helped me grow. And Lori with my voice lessons, she helped me to like tap into sides of my voice that I'd never used before, and to help like make it stronger and just train it. And Stephanie and dance, I cannot tell you how much she pushed me. because I was like, oh God, what am I gonna do with all these people? Because I don't know how, but I ended up with like Jane Goldman and all of these awesome dancers, and I was just there, and they were all tapping around me because we were in tap, and I was like, oh my God. But then at the end, I kind of like, I got better, and I was not as like terrified of what I was doing with all of them. So you learn and you grow, and everyone is so welcoming, and it's such a family there, and I could not speak enough on how awesome GCPA is. And I know I've rambled on for a long time, but you really, if you're watching this and you aren't already a member of the GCPA family, you need to become one, because everyone will love you, and it's just a great place, and I love it.
Thank you, Lauren. Sophie.
One of the things that really stuck out for me about the like show specifically is that it was like very professional. Like, even though it was like a youth theater company, you guys like try to make everything like as real and as like detailed as possible. And like compared to like other companies that I've worked with, like they don't really care that much about the tiny details, and it's kind of like amateur. But I feel like GCPA, it tries to make everything as professional and as well done as they can. And so their level of shows is just like above anything else, and you should definitely try out.
Thank you, Sophie. Ellie.
Me or Ellie Polling?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So for GCPA, I feel like everyone should do it. Like, even if you don't do theater or necessarily think you're good at it, it's just a good experience because you really get to bond with a bunch of different people. And I think it's good to always try like everything, like a little bit of everything, because like you only live once, so why not just try everything? So you may even grow to love it. So just try it out. Like, I promise you won't regret it. And even if you decide you don't want to do theater, like you'll still have so much fun and meet so many amazing people, and it's just an amazing experience overall. And I think everyone should deserve to have that in their life.
All right. Thank you. Elliott.
Like everyone's been saying, GCPA's like a great big family. They're so welcoming, and they're truly just amazing, and they're just so tight knit. And with the show, you form a bond with each of the people, and don't think if you're not in GCPA that the bond's so tight that you can't even get into the family. They're so welcoming, and they're there with open arms, and you'll become one in the family like instantly. It's just a fantastic place. So you should be in GCPA if you're not.
Okay. Thank you, Elliott. Ellie.
I think you should go to GCPA because you could go to them with any problems regarding like theater, or just like real life. You could go to them with anything because they're just such a family. And you like, I meet some of my like best friends there. Like, I'm still friends with most of the people that I'm there with, and like I feel like I could talk to them about anything. And like it's just such a good environment that I just like, I'm glad I got to experience.
Yeah, thank you, Ellie. And Ben.
You're welcome.
I think everyone should be invested in GCPA because it's just such a fun place, and you get to try so many new things, and you can really feel like you're in the show without it being told on what to do. You can really think of your own ideas and do things on your own, and it's really fun because of that. And,
yeah, excellent. Thank you, Ben. Ben, Evelyn, Sophie, Lauren, Ellie, Elliott, Ellie, thank you so much for spending some time with us here tonight and talking about James and the Giant Peach Jr., which was, of course, a fantastic show. We had so much fun putting that together, and you all did such a wonderful job with that. So to everybody watching, thank you so much for spending some time with us here tonight, and we'll see you again on Thursday night at 7:30 when we go live again with GCPA. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.